Hey guys, it's Coach Misty, and I'm going to share with you today my top 5 self-care practices to help improve your mental wellness. The thing about self-care is a lot of people think self-care, they think stuff like bubble baths, they think like taking time to read, having a glass of wine, and while all those things might be true, let's talk about what self-care really is. First of all, let's start with the problem that we're having today, right? A lot of people are experiencing burnout. We're overcommitted. A lot of us are overworked. We've taken on too much responsibility. The world out there is kind of crazy right now, right? And we're overstimulated. We're constantly connected to technology and this and that. And there's a group chat for this and a group chat for that. Can you relate? I mean, there's so many different things out there keeping us distracted and overstimulated. But the bottom line is all those things are keeping us disconnected from ourselves. And that's where I think burnout happens, but it's also that disconnect that we have to resolve when we're thinking about our self-care and how it relates to our mental wellness. So how can you get more connected with yourself? I'm going to share right now my top 5 self-care tips for mental wellness. So the first one that I'm going to share with you today is take pockets for inner stillness. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay. It's sort of a concept that I invented, but what I would suggest to you is starting to think about self-care in terms of mini pockets of time throughout your day that you can relax and do things for yourself. So what might that look like? Maybe you're in the middle of doing a million things at work and you just need to take a break and you just are, again, overstimulated. You're approaching burnout. You can feel your emotions, your anger, your stress starting to rise. Take a little pocket of time for yourself. If you have to excuse yourself to the restroom, close your office door, whatever it is, take about 5 minutes if you can, if less, more, whatever it is. But take some time to yourself and just sit there and breathe. And I mean literally, just sit there and breathe. Focus on nothing but your breath. Allow every thought that you have to come and go and just be, and in that moment, allow yourself to just be in that moment. Give yourself that grace, give yourself that gift for just that short period of time. You can do this several times throughout your day without really interrupting your routine, and just take some time, focus on your breath, and refocus. All right, so that would be my first self-care tip. The second self-care tip would be to rest. So that seems pretty obvious, right? It also might even seem a little cliche. But resting is something that we take for granted, right? It's something that we think is automatically going to happen somehow. It's something that a lot of people feel like, I don't need to rest. I can do more. I can achieve more. Go, go, go. I can answer one more text message. I can answer one more email. I don't care what time it is. Let me just get ahead of this for my day tomorrow, right? Like, whew, it's a lot. So I want you to start thinking about rest as more of a necessity. It is something that you absolutely have to do for yourself to be more productive. Look into that, by the way. The most highly successful people out there know this, and they're really particular about making sure that they get enough rest, and that they are extremely particular about their schedule and where they spend their time. Okay, so again, to recap so far, we have to make sure that you take inner pockets of stillness, those mini breaks throughout the day. And number 2 is to rest. Number 3 that I'm going to share with you is to prioritize your physical health. Again, might sound obvious, might sound cliche, but how many of us actually do this? How many of us actually take the time to make sure that we're drinking enough water? How many of us actually feed ourselves the right kind of food, right? How many of us actually go out and exercise? And again, I'll let you all look into the science behind this, but there is a direct connection between how you take care of your body and your mental wellness, right? So for example, if you work from home and you have the luxury, maybe you want to take that next phone call on a walk. I do this all the time, right? So I will have a meeting, I will have a phone call with somebody, but I'm going to do it. If I don't need to take notes and it's not something crazy and big, I will do it while I'm on a walk. That way I'm out there getting fresh air. I'm moving my body, but it also happens to be where I'm doing my best thinking. So usually I take a walk or do some form of exercise in the morning, and also at the end of the day, Bonus tip, I call that sandwiching my day. So I will sandwich my day with something for myself in the morning and something for myself in the evening. Usually that looks like some kind of exercise, whether it's a run, a walk, going to the gym, a boxing class, whatever it is that I'm up to that day. But that helps to, again, to clear your mind, release those endorphins. And there's a bunch of work out there also, that studies that will tell you about how your exercise and what you put into your body can affect your mental health, your gut health, all those things. I'm not a scientist. I'm just telling you, you might want to read up on it and pay a little bit more attention to those things in your life in terms of your self-care, right? Just taking care of the obvious. We've gotten away from the obvious. We've gotten away from the fundamentals. So focus on that. Number 4 would be to talk to somebody. Again, might sound obvious, might sound cliche, but how many of us actually do this, right? A lot of people, especially today, we feel that even if this conversation on mental health and wellness is all over the place and exploding, I think people have gotten away from the fundamentals of just, I just need to have a conversation with somebody. And the reason that I suggest this, whether, again, this is with a therapist and it's a set day and time for yourself, maybe you're working with a coach, somebody like me who sets aside a time for you and gives you that space. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a religious leader, maybe it's, who knows, a family member, right? Whatever it might be, or whoever it might be, I want you to focus on your self-care by talking to other people. The reason that this is important is because expressing how you feel releases all of that tension from your body. It can help release the stress. It can help bring you clarity, because sometimes when you're talking about things out loud, things come to light that otherwise would not have come to light if you were keeping it only in your head and trying to figure it out on your own. You know that hamster wheel I'm talking about, y'all. Like, you know what I'm talking about. So, but it also gives you the opportunity to connect with somebody and validate your experience. So I'm going to repeat that, because I think a lot of our problems today with feeling isolated in our mental wellness is because just that, we feel isolated. And what we really need as humans is we want to feel connected. We want to feel that somebody gets us. We want to feel understood. And that only happens when you open your mouth and speak to somebody. So be choosy about who you're speaking to, absolutely. But make sure that you're talking to somebody, because just spilling what your guts and having somebody go, you know what, I understand, I get that, can make you feel a world better and avoid issues with your mental wellness, right? Is it a magic bullet? No, but it certainly will help with those things. And number 5 is to allow for unstructured time. So, when I was a kid and I was growing up, free time was not a question. It just was. Came home, did my homework, ran out with my friends, did whatever I was going to do. Who knows what it was, and that was it, right? Maybe during cheerleading season or football season, I was going to be at the park and I knew I had practices on certain days and times. But outside of that, I had unstructured time. And I think our kids don't have nearly as much unstructured free time as they need to. But also, I think us as adults, we don't have the unstructured free time that we used to have when we were younger. And believe it or not, just because you're an adult doesn't mean that you no longer need that space, right? You need a space and time where you can just be. So that might be, say, okay, I have to say no to going to this event. I might have to say no to this or no to that so that I'm not overloading my schedule. But by doing that, I'm actually giving myself an entire afternoon, a day, a weekend, whatever it is that you can do, where I'm not going to make any plans and I'm just going to see what happens. And I'm going to see what I feel like I need to do. And so maybe you feel like you need to take a nap. Maybe you feel like you want to binge watch your favorite series. Maybe you feel like you want to go on a walk. Maybe you feel like you want to have lunch with a friend. I don't know what that's going to look like for you, but give yourself that time. Parents, I know that this is exceptionally challenging, but ask people for help. Get in, hey, can you watch my kid for an afternoon? Right? And when you're watching, when you allow them to watch your kid for an afternoon, don't just use that when you have to go to a party or you have errands to run or something planned. Use that, give yourself a gift of unstructured free time during that time as well. So I'm going to recap again right now my top 5 self-care tips to improve your mental wellness. Number 1 is to make sure that you take pockets of time for yourself throughout the day. Make sure that, again, throughout the day, you're managing your self-care and your mental wellness, and you're giving yourself those little gifts of inner stillness, of time to yourself. Number 2, make sure that you rest. Prioritize that. It's something that you definitely need. It is not an option if you want to be productive. Just saying. Number 3 is to prioritize your physical health. It is definitely connected to your mental wellness. So just make sure you're taking care of yourself. That is definitely an act of self-care and self-love. Number 4, talk to somebody. Get those feelings out. Say what you need to say. Be validated in your experience. Connect with other people. Again, whether it's a friend, a therapist, a coach, or whoever it might be. Give yourself that gift of being able to do that instead of keeping everything up here all the time. And number 5 would be allow yourself unstructured free time. Whatever it is that you're going to do with that, just block it off. Don't plan what you're going to do with that time. That's the key here. Just block off that time where you're going to do whatever it feels like you feel like doing in that window. So again, whatever that looks like for you, whatever you can give yourself, go ahead and do that. So again, I'm Coach Misty. Thank you all for being here for these top 5 tips. If you have any questions, you can contact me at purposeSoulAthletics.com. Make it a great day.